maybe one thing. See, I had this van. It was a hand-me-down, and, well, it had a couple of things wrong with it. I was already considering getting a new vehicle and had my sights set on the Nissan Cube. About a week later, as if it were some sort of sign, my van gave out while I was pulling into a fast food parking lot. Since I didn't have to worry about finding a parking spot, we had some good times together, hauling gear to shows, going on road trips, and so on. My van had personality, but I think the Nissan Cube is more my style. We're both inspired by nature, we're different by choice, and we both support the local music scene. At least my Cube would. So, I think it's about time to make some new memories in a new 2009 Nissan Cube.
So it goes on. This one here, you can customize your cube. This is Sean the Cube Man, which is unbelievable. This guy does a video out every day. He drives around this cardboard box, and he creates a new cube video every day. They're designing custom coding. We now have on YouTube 250 different videos out there, and how they're dreaming of winning a cube. And so this has all happened. And some of the top creative people, Gene Simmons is going to sign one of the artists, the photographers are getting hired, people that own stores, snowboarders are getting sponsors, and it's just, we're mobilized the creative class. This guy broke up with his girlfriend because she couldn't handle his obsession. They're having national tweet-ups, which are where they're deciding to meet at a bar and just talk about this stuff. We're not involved with that. We're invited, we don't get involved. This is all what's happening organically. And then the mass media takes over, and we have a whole PR strategy. And we have people like, I'll show you the Cube Man is in here. Some of the look.
I call it head, heart, and hands. I get it, I feel it, I want to be part of it. Chapman's trying to recreate his success, this time a new car campaign. You can try and qualify to win a new car by entering your creative idea, and the campaign completely online.
That's our Cube Man guy.
6,000 entries.
Just keeps going. Well, we only wanted 5,000. So 5,000 went to 500. This isn't about how many people entered. This was about finding the most creative people. And then it's, report on Business Magazine, and it continues to grow in terms of the press coverage. Our competition's picked up on it, which we love. And we're going to have a massive body of work that we can take forever. So we're right in the middle of it. So stay tuned and see how it works. Right now, the ROI, I can't even imagine. I think will be the new high water. I thought we'd never touch Wigo. I think we were already past Wigo in terms of ROI.
How many you giving away one car?
50.
50 cars.
50 cars.
In Canada.
In Canada.
To the
50
most
cars.
creative people.
Most people. It's not a contest sweepstakes. We want to mobilize the people that believe in creativity and are painters. And we got a guy that does just graffiti walls that is phenomenal. And man, what a great thing to give him so he can haul around the paint. And this is so I just wanted to take you through a couple others and then we'll wrap up. But just so I didn't want to leave you with, it all happens on the web, because socialization happens in a lot of different places. Dove, we're Dove's agency in Canada, and one of the things that Dove only 2% of women would ever use the word beautiful to describe themselves in Canada. And the reason being is every time they open up a magazine, they open up a magazine, they're seeing Photoshop, false beauty stereotypes, right? And now we're at a point where 13% of teenagers have an eating disorder. Over 70% of tweens want to change. Tweens, these are under 15, want to change one part of their body. And as I was saying yesterday in the United States, it's very customary now at high school graduation that you get breast augmentation as you get. Like it's an out of control society chasing false beauty stereotypes. And we said the only way we're going to change this is dialogue between mom and the daughters. But one of the big issues is mom feels that way. Now, for us as a branding thing, if we can help her free the next generation, she feels she's had a purpose in her life. And so we want to have conversations about it, but she has a hard time talking about the fact that why aren't you eating? She has a hard time dealing with these conversations. So our idea is, well, let's do a sleepover for self-esteem and socialize the idea by across Canada, mums and daughters getting into pajamas and seeing some great content. So what we did is we made broadcast history because we took these different networks and we got them to do this simultaneously. Great content on self-esteem as well as editorial support and experts talking about it. We leveraged it in retail because we want to sell a lot of Dove. So you bought any 2 Dove products and you get a free pair of PJ pants with it. Walmart was phenomenal. We signed up 1,800 sleepovers alone at Walmart. Got the networks to do a lot of promo, some phenomenal media that went with it. And the results speak for themselves. We had massive TV impressions, massive PR impressions, 331,000 sleepover audience, and we connected with 70,000 girls in a single night. Our goal every year is 120,000 girls. And we posted some great results. Lessons we learned along the way: what got us here won't get us to where we need to go. Every consumer's up for grabs. So the interesting thing is, I don't care what category. I don't care if somebody's been washing their clothes and Tide for 40 years. They're up for grabs now. People are moving from mass to my media. There has to be my radio station. It has to be my community. It's got to be meaningful, relevant, and an enabler to me, or don't bother talking. Just, I'm very bold with clients. I'm saying, if you're in the business of selling your product at retail, if you're not relevant in an iconic brand, then you should be focusing your entire marketing strategy in store. Don't even bother with advertising. Just focus on trying to win in store. Put all your effort and your brain power on the ones where you can trade people up. We got to let our brands go in this marketplace. We got to understand that our community and their wisdom is going to guide our strategy, our innovation. They should be telling us where to go next. Not some designer in some head office. It should be our community that's telling us. You got to understand who your target is. We just bought a research company that gives us insights into our target so fresh that we can go into a client and they say, I don't know if my consumer will like it. Actually, we just talked to them yesterday. Or you go and you're selling into a Loblaws and the buyer goes, I don't know if my shopper will love it. Actually, we just talked to your shoppers yesterday. And here's what they said about it. So that's how tight you've got to get with intelligence and insights, how they think, they feel, and behave. You need big ideas, not a lot of ideas. You need the big ideas, like the wig out ideas that just that are magnetic, that ignite, that socialize, that people want to talk about and have conversations with, that you can facilitate discussions about, that you can get debate going and you want to have your advocates draw their swords and defend your brand, that ultimately multiply. And this is where we become Ryan Seacrest, they become Jay Leno, they become what we're seeing obviously with Hypercube, and that the mass media starts writing about because it's interesting to their readers. And I'll end on this quote that I used yesterday as well, because it really brings it back to the beginning of my speech where I talked about these times. And in the 1930s, Chamberlain was the Prime Minister of England, and he loved status quo. He didn't really see the world changing on his watch. It was moving, but everything could be managed. And this lowly backbencher sat at the top of British Parliament. His name was Winston Churchill. He couldn't understand why Chamberlain had his head up his ass. Like, what's going on with Russia with communism? Hitler was arming. Germany was rearming itself. America was becoming the superpower. What could you possibly not see how dramatic change was and how we needed to change with them? Because so often, organizations like to just say, it'll get back to the good old days. One day, Churchill snapped, and this business is all about attention. Attention is the oxygen of brand building. One day, Winston Churchill decided to get the attention of Parliament. He stood up at the top of Parliament, and he waited. And he waited. And this is not like the horror show we have in Ottawa. This is a very proper Parliament. Finally, everybody turned around, and he looked at the audience, and he looked at the Prime Minister. The audience, they looked at the Prime Minister and said, history will prove that this honorable Prime Minister is wrong in these matters. I know it is so because I will write the history. And I think this is the most extraordinary time in Canada to write the history. You can't do a lot of this work in the States. If I tried to do this in the States, Nissan would have taken 6 months to potentially coordinate the meeting, where in Canada we have the ability to actually bring this kind of choreography to bear and help reinvent and write the history of how marketing is going to be done. So speaking of history, I'm done, and thank you for your attention.